looks like Noda is going to be your winner of this Portuguese Grand Prix. Is your champion. JJ splits the middle, gets past both drivers. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you've stuck with us this long and you've enjoyed some of the great music that we've had playing, I hope you are ready for another 90 minutes-ish of action here in FRL. Split 1 is getting ready to be underway, and Split 1, of course, this is the creme de la creme. This is the cream of the crop, the top of the top. These are all the drivers that have all the action. These are the big names in FRL that you know. Kashti, Roloski, Wasserschwein, Baran is back in here as well. Debe's here. Barthez is here. You've got all of the big names. Tazo's here. This is where the money hits the road. This is where you know you're the best and you prove yourself. And this is where we see the big action happen. Syntax, welcome back. I hope we've recovered. I hope the giggles are out. I hope we're all ready to go, because we've got about 90 minutes of action coming, and it all starts with
Brad,
18
no sound
minutes
on the
of quality.
stream. Gregson just said on the stream that we have no sound.
That's a weird problem. That is a game glitch then.
But we don't have sound from game, or we don't have sound from us?
Our sound is registering.
Okay, so everything's work right now.
Okay, now there's game sound. Okay, that was a glitch
Yeah.
on the game. Apparently, it did not like that I restarted the game earlier. So I think we're good. I think we're back.
Welcome again. Yeah, I hope also that the giggles just make it past for us, and I hope this race will be much cleaner, because it's all about it. And I hope we will see less safety cars on the track, and I won't truly believe that. But it's FRL, and you know what? I think I have a prepared specific sentence for that. This is FRL. Expect unexpected, and it should be like advertisement, you know, when you have a Gillette or something, or Williams or anything. So it should be exact same thing for the FRL.
Absolutely. I think I'm gonna make some FRL commercials and start pushing them out on Instagram. Some FRL advertisements, maybe buy a commercial slot or two during the F1 races, and start running that, because that's the best sum up I've heard of FRL in a long time. Of course, 18 cars on track here in Split 1. We do have a full 20 car grid, of course, but as Buchik spins out, proving difficulties here, of course, but 18 cars taking part in qualifying. Of course, we do have 19 cars taking part in the race today. One of those drivers pulled a quali ban after last race, being Graxon. Quali ban was handed out for... What was the quali ban handed out for?
For Graxon.
He earned it because of penalty points on his license due to a couple of reports stemming from round 5, and I don't think he raced in last week.
Yeah,
so therefore he serves.
Yep,
he serves quali ban this weekend, which Again, that's another thing with FRL. If that is something new, there is post-race stewarding after every event, and that can mix things up slightly to what you see happen on stream. Typically, if there is something that we have questions, though, on, we know about it ahead of time. But looking through here, 18 fast drivers on the track, and we're still waiting on the first times to get put in, Syntax.
Exactly, so Mike could just put himself on the P1 currently, 1 minute 28.1. Just right behind him we have Baran and Bucek. Bucek spun, so he just finished the lap. But right now, this is what we are talking about. John Meister, 1 minute 27.8. So we're getting closer to that border that we had previously. Dormati, or how we call Mateusz, 1 minute 27.8 also, but so much closer to the 0.7. It's getting hotter out there, right, Bradley? So let's spice it a little bit.
Times are coming down. Cashy 127.631. And we still have some big names to come across the line. Roloski's down the backstretch right now, sitting around a minute 15. Still has a few turns left to go. We'll see where he ends up as it comes through here. Of course, Wasserschwein, Maddie, and Debe on outlaps. Debe, we saw split 2 race. Very, very, it was an unfortunate race for Syntax, or for Debe there, Syntax. Golly. Anyway.
For me also it could be.
Roloski comes across the line, 127.8. So top 3 drivers separated by less than a tenth of a second. Cashty with a little bit of a standout time there, a couple tenths ahead. And then we have 128 from 5th place back. Maverick a 129 flat. Buchik, not a representative time here. And I think we're going to have a very, very competitive race here, Syntax, all the way through.
Yeah, right now Buchik improved his time, 1 minute 28.8. So yeah, it looks like the barrier, 1 minute 27, might be for some drivers unreachable, but it's of course only the halfway through the qualification session. Right now Wasser have some problems with the chicane. He hit the wall and he invalid his lap. So yeah, we have to wait, because back after Wasserfein is coming on the straight, Bartes on the out lap, and after him I see 2 drivers. I don't know which one is it. Is it Roloski and Debe, I believe?
It is. They are running through. It looks like Debe is on a push lap, and Roloski is giving Debe the slipstream down the backstretch. Gorgeous teamwork. I love it. And now we see Debe coming out of the final sector, coming around. Debe, of course, now having 90 minutes of practice in. We'll see how Debe can do here. Debe comes across P9 on that first banker lap. Very, very good time there with a 128.7. And then, of course, Maddie, who is on a push lap coming through the middle sector currently.
Also, one more thing that we didn't mention, and I totally forgot about it, that we have drivers in our league that's still driving, maybe not still, but driving on the wheel, not on the wheel, but on the controller. I believe for Mate and Tazo, I don't know that Tazo decided to go on the wheel or on the controller. I believe it's on the controller, but both of them, both of Red Bull drivers are driving on the control. And I believe, never mind, Mate just proved me wrong. He made the time for the P4. But I wanted to say that Miami track might be slightly more difficult for the controller drivers than the wheelers, I will say.
Definitely, I think it could be, but Maddie went purple middle sector on Maddie's lap, and then putting in a time good enough for P4 with a 127.856. Syntax, look at P2, P3, P4, and P5 for me really quick. All of them are in the 127.8s. That is scary. And then every driver is separated by nearly just a second. Like, everyone that has put in a time is within a second of each other. This is a very... Ooh, good save, Maddie. But this is a very competitive, very, very competitive group that is qualifying right now here for Split 1. Extrac is going through on a push lap coming through the first sector. Just went around the swimming pool section or the bay area, depending on... I need to find out what that corner is actually called. I don't feel like a real F1 fan. Dormati just spun.
We still can't forget that even though it's Split 1, the track is still difficult, and even though the drivers might have problems here on the Miami Grand Prix, because the track is unforgettable, I will say, and this is the perfect way to describe the Miami circuit, I would say.
Yeah, this is... We touched on it in Split 2, but it doesn't hurt to mention it again, of course. New race, new cars, new drivers out, but this is probably the most difficult track that I think these drivers will deal with, other than potentially Jeddah next week.
Don't forget about the Monaco.
Yeah, but we don't have Monaco this season, so it's kind of...
Yeah.
They get a little bit of a pass. I mean, we have Singapore, which is coming up. The back half of the season. Let's run off the calendar for the back half of the season. We're at Miami this week. Hello, Tazo. Wow, okay, Tazo. What a lap time.
Kashti might be a little bit angry. They are main two rivals for themselves to each other, I would say. And yeah, when one is faster than the second one, they want, okay, this is my turn right now, I will do it better. And that's why I love how it works, because they want to push themselves to get a better pace, better times, and everything better. And I believe this is like the true sportsmanship, and
there it is.
Kashti just prove it.
A millisecond. Kashti is faster. 856 or 586 against a 587 by a millisecond. Wow. Okay, competitive times. Those two are going to be fun to watch all the way through. John Meister is purple middle sector, so I'm keeping my eyes on John Meister as John Meister comes around down the backstretch to finish his lap. But I was mentioning, back half of the calendar, Syntax. We've got... It's a very unique back half of the calendar, and I really, really like this season's calendar, and I really, really like the back half of the season. John Meister can come across the line, and 120... Oh!
Boys getting more angrier. Oh yeah.
Okay, well, we'll see who can compete with that.
I thought it was like getting more spicy. Kashti versus Tazo, and 1 millisecond between them. Then boom, John Meister comes all in white. I will make a 1 minute 27.4, almost 0.3. So this is a ridiculous time.
A 10th and a half up, John Meister is. Wow. Okay. And then Rolowski is just now starting a flying lap, so we'll have to keep our eyes there and see what Rolowski pulls out. But as the drivers come around and everyone's putting in and getting laps going, I'm trying to see if there's anyone we need to watch. Of course, the Andrew hasn't put in a time yet in P18 or Gamer in the McLaren, but all right, Syntax, let's try this one more time. Back half of the calendar. So we're at Miami this week.
Yeah.
Well, we have Jeddah next week.
Yeah.
We have Circuit of the Americas, or the USGP, coming in the week after that. Singapore, Austria, Brazil. That is how we'll round off our seasons.
Except Kota, I would say all of the tracks are really difficult. Jeddah, very fast, narrow corners. You can DNF so easily. Singapore, one of the longest race in the FRL history, because of the safety cars, because of the length of the race. And do you remember how the weather changed everything? Because it was raining and it was so messed up. But even though next after the Singapore, we have a Kota, your favorite track, because you as an American, you're probably so happy about that. We are presenting your closest, I will say, track on the grid, on the calendar. And then after Kota, What we else got?
After Coda, it's Singapore, Austria, Brazil, and then Jeddah is next week.
Okay, Austria, really competitive track, but also a very dangerous track for our drivers because T1 is most likely to not leaving the space to each other, and we've seen a lot of carnage on the T1 in Austria. So I'm afraid of that. And Brazil, long time no see, my old friend, I would say, but also a very, very nice track.
Brazil, ending the season at Brazil just feels right for an F1 season. Like, any F1 season, whether it be a virtual season, the real life season, ending at Brazil just feels right. It just, that just feels how it should be, really.
Yeah.
So, shout out to Admin for putting together a great calendar for this season. Good 12 race calendar. Nice mix of different styles of tracks. And of course, this back half of the season is going to move very quickly. So if you haven't followed us yet, definitely give us a follow. Go check out our YouTube and subscribe. And then be sure to check us out on all the social medias: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. That was a McLaren that just went straight into the wall. And then that was Tazo's lap that got compromised because of that. I believe Tazo probably had to back out there. Going through the chicane, just caught him at the wrong time. Is that Barthez? That was Barthez. Okay, so Tazo was on a good lap. And I'm curious to see where this lap lands for Tazo, if there was enough time in it. And it looks like Tazo is just going to abort the lap, going to the pits. Ignis is on an out lap here. Matoush is going down the third sector back straight right now. Looks like had to invalidate the lap and is going to have to go again. A few drivers on outlaps. Maverick, of course, in P16 is currently coming underneath the overpass. Running down the backstretch here, Syntax. And
yeah, the time difference between the drivers are just extremely close. And I don't... I cannot remember when the last time we've seen such a competitive qualification, because it's like, just look between the P5, P6, P2, P3, even though P11, P12, P15, P16, it's so close to each other, and it's so much fun to watch and even to commentate.
Absolutely, I agree with you there. What's about to be fun to commentate is we're down to less than 2 minutes to go. Our top four are all out on an out lap at the moment, and this is about to get very exciting very fast. I'm looking at the stat sheets here for the quali times for the past few races. Last round, all 19 drivers that qualified were separated by 2.3 seconds. Round before that, all 19 drivers were separated by 2.5 seconds. And before that, I mean, it's all of the drivers are within 2 seconds of each other, which has been very... It's been so much fun. John Meister, hello.
It was Ignis.
Ignis, hello.
Came up, yeah, to the P2. So both Alfa Romeos are now P1 and P2. So close to them are Tazo and Mate with a Red Bull team. Between them, we have a Kashti that went to the pit lane, and probably we would not see any more Kashti on the track, but still the rest are fighting so badly. And do you believe that someone will be able to improve his time to maybe surprise us and jump so much higher in the grid?
I definitely think that Tazo, Maddie, Matoush, Roloski, it's anyone's guess right now who's going to land this through. We're less than a minute now, and it's really anyone's guess because everyone's on push laps. Debe's now retired out of the session. It looks like they're at the pit entrance, which is a very, very unique spot. I'm looking to see who's going to get across the line and who isn't. Maverick and Kashti, the only drivers not on track right now putting in laps. Buchik comes across. You have Matoush coming across now and starting a lap. And now, checkered flag falls. Cashty's going to lock in his time. Where is Tazo going to land? Tazo's got Maddie right there behind. So the Red Bulls are working together going down through the middle sector, heading into the chicane section. John Meister and Ignis are coming across the line now. John Meister, 127.397 for provisional pole. Ignis into the pits. I believe there was a little bit of teamwork there between those two that I just didn't get to see now. Tazo, snap of oversteer there through the chicanes. Maddie coming through, looking really good. Tazo might have to abort this lap. Ignis out of the session here. Puhash! 127.34. Where did that come from? What?
Oh my god.
Wasn't Puhash like bottom half of the grid?
Yeah, something like this.
And Tazo spins it at the line, final corner.
I have literally goosebumps.
Hold on. We're not
hands.
done yet. Matoush is purple middle sector. In the Haas. Purple middle sector coming through for Matoush. Buchix is in. Bimolino Gaucho is behind as well. Where is Matoush going to land here with a purple middle? Is he going to pull something out of the hat? Comes across the line. 127.545. Good enough for P5. So even with the purple middle sector, Bimolino Gaucho dives into the pits. Puhash, take a bow.
What have you done, Puhac? Oh my lord. It reminds me the good old days of Puhac when he were smashing his opponents in Split 2. Do you remember when we have a Puhac in McLaren?
Oh, I do remember, because Puhac was a name I got so used to saying.
Yeah, and I believe he was the first driver that he won first 3 races in a row. And I believe his teammate was then Fishu, I guess.
Yeah, that's, yep. Puhash, hello, welcome to FRL.
Welcome back, I would say.
Oh my gosh.
Look at the time difference. Look at this. This is
Top 15 drivers separated by 1 second.
Yeah, but top 11, half of the second.
What in the world?
That showed us really like the potential of the drivers and that the drivers are improving themselves.
Oh my gosh. Everybody bear with us real quick. We're going to do a lobby reset, catch our breath, and process what we just watched. We'll be back momentarily. So you join us in a raining Miami.
No. No. God, please, no. No. No.
Hey, admin. I think we're calling for a server restart. Desync.
Yeah, desync. There's something bug.
Desync. F. Press
F on the chat,
F
everyone.
to pay respects.
Yeah, please F on the chat.
Oh my gosh. I don't even.
I'm not sure that I want to laugh or I want to cry right now. To be honest, I'm happy that I'm not participating in that race.
Yeah. We're about 20. All right, 10 seconds to green. I don't know how to feel about this. All right, Syntax, let's see what happens.
I will try not to giggle. Yeah, let's focus on that race.
I'm just going to quote admin. They said have fun. 5 red lights, and we are going to be underway here for the start of this Miami Grand Prix here on a wet Miami circuit. One that I don't think I've ever seen this. Look at that. That is the Red Bull of Tazo there. Getting away well on the inside, trying to go around Matoush. And now you have side-by-side Rolowski and Ignis going through. That's the Haas of Matoush. Bumped a little wide there. You can see everybody slipping and sliding. I will tell you right now, not a single one of these drivers have practiced this. Calls for intermediates all the way through the race according to the AWS strategy. Everybody very, very timid through the first few corners. It looks like everybody has made their way through. A little bit of side-by-side action in the back of the pack. That is the Aston Martin of Maverick that has gone a bit wide and is trying to hold on to it. Everybody being very timid there. Wasserschwein on the inside there of Maku, and now to the outside. It's the long run down. through this, it's kind of a back stretch. It's a second stretch, really. And now we're going down. Everybody's settling out straight. Maku is going to look up the inside here. Is he going to be able to get the pass done? And it does look like it. And then there's Kashti getting a pass done as well there on Matoush around the inside to the outside to the inside. And now we're into the hard section, the overpass section, interstate section. Everyone gets away well there. You can see side by side, though, Maku with Wasserschwein. Things settle down. I think everybody made it through the interstate section with no issues. And now we have the long run down the backstretch. You can see Ignis kind of peeking around there. John Meister peeking around a little bit. Everyone's through. Is anyone going to try to have a dive? There's a dive coming from Buchek on the inside of Matty. Is he going to be able to hold on to it? He is. He's on the throttle. They're side by side coming around the final corner. And as we go down the run towards the front, or the main straight, now both Hasses are in the mix here. Matoush and Buchek trying to get past Matty. They're past. The Hasses are together. Syntax, that is one of 29 laps around this damp Miami circuit.
That was a beautiful introduction as to this race, really. I didn't want to disturb you. Pucha just right now lost the P1 because of the John Meister overtake. Even though I didn't want to disturb you, but on the beginning of the race, I've seen a massive lags between the drivers. They were lagging, they were teleporting on the track. So I'm not sure about a few situations on the track were connected by the lags of the server. But I hope everything right now is just much better. Right now, as we can see, Ignas Bernas is the closest one to fight for the top 3, but even though Buchek, Matej, Wasserschwein, Maku, Gregson right now is attacking Storek, but he decided to back off and give the space, of course, for another driver. That's what I am respecting. But even though all of the drivers are separated by almost less than a second, what makes us a really interesting race, even though the highest time difference between the drivers right now is between two Hasses. 1.8 second Buchek is behind Dormati, or you call it Mateusz, and Maverick is less than a half second. Gamer also 1.2, and Bemolino is trying to catch up. Probably there was a spin. So yeah, I would say, Bradley, we're going to see a totally different race than we had previously in the Split 2. Maybe not boring, but there will be definitely less actions that we have previously. Maybe it's good, because we'll have a much cleaner race.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the wet conditions kind of checked all of the drivers and told them to sort of calm down a little bit. Remember, this is 29 laps of action. You don't necessarily win the race on lap 1. And now, as we see, I said something about drivers calming down, and then Roloski goes and dives it up the inside there on Puhash. Puhash now down into P3 after starting on...
Yeah, please continue.
Puhash down into P3 after starting up front with what was a stellar lap there in qualifying, pulling that out of nowhere. And, no drivers spinning or DNFing first couple laps. I'm very happy with it. Nobody's had to pit for damage yet. I do really think the intermediate conditions, all of the drivers have kind of calmed down a little bit. We're kind of running through. They're trying to feel the track out and really see where we're going here. I'm wondering if it's supposed to get wetter, stay this way. Unfortunately, I don't have a weather report, and there's a big snap from Puhash. I thought Puhash was about to take out Tazo there, and that was very bad. It's cost Puhash a few positions now. Puhash all the way back into P6 after starting up on pole. But just looking at everything here, John Meister seems to have a master on these conditions and is holding on very well to the position that John Meister is in.
Yeah, very nice comment we have on the chat. First lap without DNF or spin, kinda sus. Yeah, I can agree with that. Even though it's all about the positions that we have on the track, about the weather, I would say. And I will totally agree that weather conditions might have effect on the driving style of drivers. Yeah, but even though I know that, for example, Tazo prefer much better the wet conditions because he felt so much faster on it. So he's proving it right now because he were starting from the P7, I believe, if I'm correct. And right now we have him in front of the Kashti on the P4.
Absolutely. Tazo's up to 3 positions. Puhash has lost 5 so far in this race. Wasserschwein's gained 4. John Meister, Orlowski, and Ignis have all moved up a place. And then Bimolino Gaucho and Debe are all down places. Debe currently sitting P19, our last place driver coming through, as our leaders are going around turn 17. Debe is just now coming out of turn 16 onto the backstretch. So the field spread out a little bit. Things are pretty calm, though. John Meister pumping in a faster lap and continuing to move up on those fastest laps. And then Rolowski turns around and does the same thing a little bit quicker. Ignis 9/10 of a second back. Tazo 8/10 of a second back. Kashi 6/10 of a second back from that. Of course, with the wet conditions, if the intermediate or wet tires are out, as Puhash has another massive snap of the rear end there. Puhash now falling another place into turn 7. But of course, as I was trying to say there, if the rain is out, no DRS occurs. So these drivers don't have DRS to rely on to help them with passing. It is all about the pure pace that they can find in their cars and their skill levels. And that means you can see a little bit of action. Tazo just put in a purple first sector. So Tazo's picking up the pace just a little bit here, trying to move forward a little bit here and get around Ignis, move up to the podium places. And so far, we're 5 laps and nothing too crazy has happened.
Yeah, but we can both agree that this isn't the best track for Debe. John Meister right now have a 3-second time penalty for cutting corners that makes a huge advantage for Rolowski, Ignash, Tazo, and even for Kashti because of that. And I would say they are definitely going to use that advantage. Of course, as you said, situation on the track settled down a little bit and it calms down, but still there's a lot of drivers that are really close to each other, but because of option DRS under the weather conditions, it's all about the pure pace and skills, as you said previously, even though I believe it might be interesting until the end of the race. Right now, Matej trying attack Puhac. They are going wheel to wheel on the very dangerous section, even though under the weather conditions. But I just pray for not crashing each other. And as we can see, they can do that. And this is a beautiful moment for them because it was a pure skill of the racing and overtaking themselves. Even though Tazo is getting closer so much to the Ignas Varnas, of course battery might be helped a lot of here. Even though of course the wings that you have on the setup might help you also. And as I can see so far, Ignas is prepared for with the setup for mostly for the straights to get a better peak performance, I will say. But Tazo's setup is prepared more for the corners and turning. So yeah, it might be interesting until the end of the race.
Absolutely. Holding on here, lap 6, about to start lap 7 of 29 laps here at this Miami circuit. It is fairly damp. No signs of the rain slowing up so far. Maybe a little, but not enough that it's really making any difference on track conditions here. Tazo sitting P4, Kashti P5, Ignis Rolowski, John Meister as Rolowski pumps in another fastest lap, trying to bring that gap down to John Meister a little bit. That gap sits at currently 1.1 seconds and has been pretty stable through. And just continue to watch through at the drivers here. Matty and Puhash battling it out. Going into turn 1, Puhash on the outside, Matty on the inside. And Syntax, I think you'll agree with me, Puhash does not seem to like these wet weather conditions and has just been losing time every single lap. And then starting on the pole, fastest out of nowhere, and now currently sitting P9. And make that
P10.
P10 after an error there going through. I believe that was turn 7.
Yeah, it might be. Even though I can totally agree with you, and this is very sad to look at the Puhac that makes an incredible, amazing time on the qualification session, 27.3. That was coming out of totally nowhere. As you mentioned in the qualification session, that he was somewhere in the middle, but right now he jumped out of nowhere and to take the P1. Right now he fall down to the P10, so this is so sad to watch him struggling so much. I believe maybe he will pick himself all together and maybe somehow he will find the pace to fight back for the really good points, because right now from the 25 points he fell down up to the 1 point. So yeah, this might be dissatisfying. About the situation on the track, I don't see anything coming up to right now. So yeah, I believe it might be a little bit boring just to watch, but believe me, it is so hard and you have to be so precise on the track under the conditions like we have right now.
Absolutely. It's a matter of just patience and persistence, and based on what I'm seeing here, things are starting to lighten up a little bit. So I would say probably mid-race we might get some dry weather action and get a little bit of chaos, but that's still to be determined, and it could just be a trick of the eyes. We'll see what happens here. Rolowski now 1.5 back on John Meisters, and then Ignis a 2.5 behind him there. Tazo's a second back from Ignis. Cashy's half a second back, catching just little by little. So for these drivers, it really is just a case of persistence, and just holding on as best as they can. And yeah. I mean, I think they're doing a good job. Syntax, we're 8 laps in. I haven't seen anyone make any serious errors.
Yeah. This is unbelievable. Like, we finally have a clean race. Of course, I'm not counting the cutting corners because of the weather. Your car is so slippery, and of course, it might happen to anyone. But even though, if we have any engineer on the chat, if you could get us know that the weather will change in this race, or we will have a raining race until the end, because I'm really curious. But yeah, I believe drivers are already used to the situation on the track that they have, and I think it might end like this, or maybe if something's happened, because right now Puhac is losing another position because of Maku. And it's so sad to watch how much he is struggling right now. Even though Storek is coming up next to try to overtake Puhac, and I don't want to see that because it's, I would say, a heartbreaking situation for Puhac.
Yeah, Puhac is not having a good time with the track conditions at all. And I mean, I can't say I blame him. I would not be doing good in these track conditions at all either. So kudos to the drivers for keeping it clean and keeping things going for so long. Lap 9 of 29 here, 20 laps to go on the track, and we are looking at your top 3. John Meister, Rolowski 1.4, 1.3 back, and Ignis 1.3 behind that. You can see here as the drivers all come out of the Interpass section from underneath the interstate. I mean, they're just fairly well holding on to each other here. Nobody's trying to make any aggressive, unwarranted moves. And Syntax, I think that gives us, a little bit of time just to discuss, we've talked about the calendar. We talked about in Split 2, everything with the calendar and how things have gone. Split 1, looking at results so far, Tazo, 3 podiums to his name. Matouche with 2 podiums. Ignis, of course, won last week in Abu Dhabi. And has finished very strong. Kashti's in P4 in the driver's standings with 3 podiums. Maddie has won a race. Noda won the first race of the season and is currently sitting P7 in the driver's standings. I mean, we've got a big mix on the grid of who's finished where, but you still see these drivers kind of stand out. Tazo, Ignis, John Meister, Rolowski, Kashti, we see those big names standing out this season. Maddie, even though Maddie's P8 right now, Maddie is one of those top 5 drivers right now in the Drivers' Championship. I mean, and the thing is, they're all separated just, how they all qualify within a second of each other. Our top 5 in points are separated by less than 25 points right now.
Yeah, it's amazing how much they are fighting the whole season. But I will give you another tip that we get used to Kashti stand on the podium, but we've seen him in the previous season more likely to win the race. But he get, of course, trying to catch the hardest achievement, I would say, in FRL history, just to won 7 races in a row, and he fell because he won only 6, and on the 7th he was 2nd. So yeah, but right now in this season, Kashti didn't won a single race, and he really wants to fight for the title, of course. But yeah, the opponents and any other drivers are extremely difficult, I would say, for each other, just to not leaving any space within the points, of course. And I believe the fight for the title might be a very interesting situation until the end of the season. I will predict that.
Absolutely. I think we'll go into the final race with no clear-cut title decider, for who could win it and who wouldn't. And I think it will take until post-race stewarding after Brazil to have a clear-cut champion. Of course, we'll keep our eyes on that. I'm watching the battle right now that's developed for P15 between Baran and Bimolino Gaucho. Those two are racing hard right now, and it looks to me that Baran is actually missing his front wing. So the Ferrari having some sort of bad luck somewhere and dropping back, and then that was Barthez behind having a bit of a snap of an oversteer coming out of turn 7, but able to keep it on the track. And top 5 all separated a second to each car. Things are settling down there. Maddie in P8, 0.6 of a second back on Buchik. And you have this gap here. The front 6 cars are all within a second of each other. And then you have Buchik, who is about 8.5 seconds back on his teammate Matoush, who is in P6. So the field's separated into 2 or 3 little clusters of cars. Because then you have Maverick, who just DNF'd. I don't know what happened there.
He spun and he hit the wall.
Oh, so that is unfortunate.
we have our beautiful first safety car on the track. Oh, Brad. Even though the race, don't be afraid to say that, was kind of boring, because it was like time trial on the wet conditions for everybody, because there was no slightly difference between lap 3 or lap 12, because every single driver was like just focusing himself on the finishing as much higher as is possible, of course, but the time difference between them were just looking like on the qualification session. Of course, they were leaving the space between the cars, but nothing else was supposed to change, right? Because no DRS, of course, ERS about the battery, how much you will manage to save. It's all about that, and it's so extremely difficult to change something within the weather. Is raining so hardly, and I believe we'll get that until the end of the race. But I see on your screen that we have some sunny coming out over the clouds.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of sun is starting to break through Syntax, and I mean there's still a steady drizzle showing up on the track, so I don't think we're near dry conditions yet. Yeah. But you never know. Looking at the times, though, that's the thing I've been looking at. Everybody is just like qualifying, everybody is running extremely consistent pace here. 139s and 140s all the way throughout. Of course, Rolowski, our fastest time with a 139.025, but John Meister has a 139.056, and then Ignis a 139.083. And what was that? What? What just happened?
Kashti just make a Kashti move on Tazo, I would say.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm also speechless.
Okay. Expect the unexpected. Yeah, Cashy just didn't even try to break there, looking at a replay of it. Of course, replay is in chat on Twitch if you need to see that. I mean, he didn't even try to break. Oh, gosh. That was... I mean, that knocked Tazo down to P14 as well. So Tazo is... Man. Well, that's a way to mix up the grid. So, lap 13 of 29, maybe a little bit of sunshine, maybe not. Looking at the big winners here, Wasserschwein's up 7 places, Maku's up 5 places, Buchik's up 5 places. Puhash has lost out big time and is down 8. Graxent, starting dead last, is up 8 places, and we've lost 2 drivers so far in Kashti and Maverick.
I have a quick info. I asked Kashti what's happened, and Kashti said, I don't know. So, yeah.
All right.
2 drivers out. We're almost in the half of the race. And situation on the track kind of changed. Sadly for Tazo, he is currently on the P14. And as far as I know, Kashti just told me that he were looking or something, and he just missed the braking point.
Which does happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, is it safe to say that Kashti is out of the title championship battle?
Probably not, because Kashi's only 16 points back from Tazo.
Yeah, but even though, just remember that the rest drivers are up to right now on the top 4. Tazo just fell down to the P14, so both of them are out of the points right now. Of course, for Tazo it's not over yet, but we know that under the conditions it might be very difficult to come back to the P4, right?
Absolutely, it can be. I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see what the weather does in the next little bit and how that affects things, because I've noticed if you look at who has stopped, the top 10, top 11 have not stopped yet. Only 12th place back have. And I think they only stopped because of damage. But if you look, Syntax, it's not drizzling anymore like it has been. So I think we are going to see the track dry out over the next few laps. So we're going to see some mixed conditions. We're going to see a little bit of chaos form here. And I don't know. I would imagine safety car is going to be in this lap. And I would say within a few laps after that, we're going to get at least probably 5, 6, 7 laps of dry tire running. Maybe even some DRS. I'm not sure.
Hello, Bradley?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, right now, yes.
Okay. Well, if you didn't hear what I was saying a second ago, I'm saying we're probably going to get like 5 laps, 10 laps of green flag running, depending on how things go. I was about to say they haven't called the safety car in yet, but now they do. So John Meister takes control of the field here, and Rolowski will be staying very close behind. You can see all the drivers weaving, trying to build some heat up in those tires and make sure they are going to be good to go here. And I don't know, Syntax. I don't know what's about to happen.
Yeah, even though we have to say that both of Alfa Romeos and both Haas's are in an extremely good positions for points about the team, of course. Right now, Buchek with rocket ship restart. He just overtake the door Mati, but right now Ignas just closed the door for Buciek. Buciek almost spun, and Vassar is now with the contact for Buciek, but Buciek is still alive, hopefully. Nothing bigger happened, but they just swapped the positions. Buciek have opportunity to fight for the P3, even though Mate P7 right now holding back of the Wasserstein right after it is Maku that is trying to attack. Mate going inside, they going wheel to wheel, but Mate have a better exit and no. I'm not
Oh my
sure.
gosh.
I'm not sure which fault was that, but I believe Maku was really just next to the wall, and Mate probably thought that he is close enough. But now Maku killed Tazo, but Tazo came back. What is what is happening here, Bradley?
I think mixed conditions are starting to strike here. It looked like on my side that Tazo just spun a little bit, got loose, and unfortunately just went right into the way of Maku. Maku now into P15, Maddie P16, Baran P17, 45 seconds back. Way off the pace there, and now we see Tazo looking to chase down Barthez here. Get around, go up into P10. Front of the field is trying to split off from the rest of the pack here and build a bit of pace as we go through, and this midfield battle is really heating up. We'll see some drivers come into the pits now, I'm sure, as we go through. I can't imagine that they're going to come off the intermediate tires yet, though, if anyone does go into the pits. I don't see anyone in the pits yet, though. Checking back on the front of the field here, you can see John Meister, Rolowski, Ignis, and we do have a driver into the pits, and Syntex, Baran, P17 on the hard compound tires. Gutsy gambling decision there.
Yes.
And
exactly
Maddie...
same, but Matty is on the medium. So maybe the weather conditions are changing, and if yes, Maddie and Baran will gain a lot of pace right now. But still, I'm not sure about the weather because I have a totally different graphic setup, because I have it for the performance, you have it for the good looking, and when I'm watching on your POV, it looks like this still isn't the weather for medium or hard compound at all.
Not at all. The track still looks very wet. We've got a spin in Sector 1, and I'm going to go ahead and give you a guess of who that is that spun coming out of the pit lane. And if you're to guess Maddie, you would be correct there. But it looks like no harm, no foul. Everything's good here. John Meister, Rolowski, Ignis. I think we're still several laps away from that transition point. Typically, if you're newer to the F1 games, the transition point is whenever DRS is enabled or disabled accordingly. And I know that we're not at that transition point yet because John Meister just put in a 1:37.2. So
yep.
I would say whenever times start to drop back from there, that's probably when we're going to be at that transition point. And Tazo passed Graxon up into P9 now. Tazo, of course, was at one point running up near the front of the field, and after that incident with Kashi under safety car, dropped all the way back to P14, is now sitting P9. Debe's been able to battle up to P14 ahead of Maku. Maddie and Baran are just having some pretty unfortunate luck, just trying to nurse their car around, and it looks like actually Baran is about to be lapped here by John Meister, so this will be kind of a good way for us to tell if it's the transition point yet or not by how fast John Meister gets around here, which I would say is going to be very, very fast.
Yeah, and I'm quite upset about that. When you have you're getting lapped, you're a ghost for any other driver. And in ACC, we've seen yesterday that it's still fight for the places, right? So basically, you can't disturb any other driver, so that's make the main difference, because it's still like a game, psychological game, and not just like driving in front of the ghost, right? So it might be a little bit harder just to overtake someone who is lapped, but that person actually don't have to do anything, just drive itself, and they will overtake it even though because he's a ghost. So for me, this is the part that we could change it a little bit, but it is what it is. Right now, Matti decided to step back, and I believe he crashed. So we have another safety car, and right now, I also believe that many drivers will decide to go to the pit lane, and Maku is the only one who get it before starting the new lap. And also, he decided to go for the medium compound.
Interesting decision there from Maku. Of course, we'll have a few laps under safety car, which will help to dry out the track a bit. Interesting to see because it really does look mixed here. If you look on board here with Roloski, this track still has a lot of damp spots to it from my screen, but it's very hard to tell where that transition point is. And that's one of the things with the F1 games that can be really challenging, is identifying your transition points and really knowing when you need to change from dry to wet tires or wet to dry tires. It's very, very hard to tell in these cars in this game. But it looks like someone knows when to do it there, and Maku, Bimolino Gacho, and Baran are all running on the mediums at the moment. And they'll come around and catch up to the safety car. We'll see if anyone opts into the pits here and decides to pit through for some tires. And there goes our leaders, our front two, P3, P4. So we're about to have a very busy pit lane. Looks like drivers have decided the transition time is now or within the next couple seconds. There was apparently a collision between Matouche and Ignis. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
He decided to go for the softs.
That's a good call. Only 10 laps to go. Look at the amount of teams double stacking.
Yeah, and under these conditions, actually, it wouldn't be such a bad idea, because if you will hold these softs until the end of the race, it shouldn't go so much. Used to be like for the 7 or 8 laps, but right now the 10 laps are really possible to drive on the soft compound, and Graxen is the second driver that decided to went on the soft compound. So yeah, but I now watching something that I'm not getting used to, and currently we have a gamer on the P1 in front of the rest of the grid. He decided to stay on the intermediate compound. It might be interesting if gamer will be holding his pace on the intermediate compound, and it's such a difficult moment and to question that, is it able to hold the pace? For me, track looks like it getting more drier than it was like a moment ago, so it might be a bad decision for gamer, but we will see.
I think Gamer was trying to avoid all of the carnage on pit road and just avoid any sort of double stacking with his teammate, which is why Gamer stayed out. And it may prove detrimental. Gamer may lose a few places, drop back, but it's going to put Gamer in a very, very good position to compete for like the top 10, I believe, if Gamer decides to come into the pit lane here as they come around the final corner, because the track's entirely too dry now in the process of a lap. And there's the call for McLaren to bring Gamer in, and we'll see what Gamer goes to here tire-wise, and I'm going to guess it's probably going to be a set of softs. Or it's a set of mediums. And that'll put Gamer out P13, but again, that'll put Gamer in the best position to try to finish in the top 10 and still have a fairly competitive race there in that McLaren.
Yeah, it will be very difficult for Baran and maybe even for the Bemolino. I don't know what happened with Debe. Bartes right now, what is happening? Butchik just hit Debe Storek just had another 5-second time penalty for ignoring the yellow flag. I'm not sure that is something wrong with the drivers or the game is for the next time messing up everything. Do you remember how we have a problems in, I would say, in the exact same time with the F1 2022, 2021, with F1 2020 and any other game? In this specific moment, something changed with the game, and the game with the lobbies were like destroying the whole races because of the lags with the broken things, yellow flags out of nowhere, or any other things. So I'm worried about the condition that the game stands like right now.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm waiting to see if anyone says there's something going on their end or anything weird happening, because that's a lot of penalties just got handed out of nowhere, and I'm not sure why.
Now drivers have to prepare their wheels and get warm up as much as they can. Of course, in these conditions it could be extremely difficult, but right now John Meister decided to get the restart. Rolowski just right behind him. Ignace Varnaj, Wasserstein, Pucha, Germati, Tazo, Graxen, Storek, and Bartes. This is the top 10, but Bartes is already losing a lot of time. Graxen snap with Dormati right now, and he loses positions. Also, Graxen's up to P7, starting on the back of the grid. Tazo currently on the P6, so also a very good recover. Debe on the P9, where he was driving whole race on the last position. So this is so good to look back at these drivers. Puchacz came back to the P5, so he loses only 4 places. Dormati is fighting right now with the Bartes. They driving wheel to wheel, but Mateusz is much faster. Also, Buciek on the main straight is faster than Bartes. Just look how Buciek is vibing, overtaking Bartes and Dormati on the same straight. It's it's just amazing. But right now, both of the Haas drivers are fighting to themselves. I don't know why, because Buciek is so much faster on the straight. Yeah, this might be a very interesting battle between the both Haas drivers. Wasserstein on the exit of the turn just touched the wall, but nothing changed, nothing happened more badly. And right now Puchacz is preparing to make an attack on Wasserstein, just going behind him, have the slipstream. Wasserstein is covering the inside, very good defending on him. Puchacz just touched the back wheel of Wasserstein, got a worse exit, and then still holding on the P5.
Absolutely great battles happening all the way through the field here. You've got battles all the way from P1 all the way back to last place. John Meister down in the P2 here. Rolowski able to take advantage of an error by John Meister. John Meister is now going to slip back into second place. He's going to try to fight back. Not enough in the tank there to try to compete against the brand new soft tires of Rolowski. Rolowski now is your race leader with 7 laps to go here. And now you've got the Alfa Romeos, John Meister, Ignis, P2, P3. A very, very competitive here coming from them. Of course, this is going to be a great battle all the way through here. Wasserstein 1.2 seconds back on this battle. And then Puchacz 0.3 of a second back there. We've got yellow flags out. And I believe that was for something with Maku and Gamer that are battling out right now for P13. And they're acting like this is the battle for P1. Wasserstein, Puchacz, this battle is heating up here. Who's going to come out on top of that? Wasserstein still sitting P4, Puchacz P5. And now you've got Tazo in P6 in the mix. And look at that, there's Graxit in P7. So you've got a 4-car battle right now for P4.
This is amazing. This is amazing how the things change when the weather also change. And it looks so much nice right now, seeing Puchacz overtaking Wasserstein and getting back on his podium places, but Wasser isn't stopped fighting yet. He somehow managed to hold his P4, but Tazo is getting so much closer. Rolowski with the fastest time of the race, 1 minute 30 point. I don't see how much because it showed off, but Dormati just right now overtake Debe. Dormati on the P10. It's getting more intense when we're going to the end of the race. Tazo 3/10 of the second behind Puchacz. Puchacz 4/10 right now, 5/10 behind the Wasserschwein. Wasserschwein 2 seconds behind the Ignas Berners. So John Meister and Ignas, both Alfa Romeos, right now placing themselves on the P2 and P3, getting to get the very good amount of points until the end of the race, but still the race hasn't ended yet, so we still have to wait for that. Puchacz again fighting with the Wasserschwein. They're going with the wheel, a lot of contacts between them, so I believe Tazo will have a huge advantage, but still not in this section. This is so tight corners and there's no place for the second car, so he have to wait. But right now Wasserschwein have a snap moment, but still somehow he holding that.
Yeah, somehow Wasserschwein saved the car there. DRS open though, and look at the overspeed that Tazo has there. And Tazo dumping the battery, getting by here on the inside. He's going to squeeze Wasserschwein wide. Wasserschwein holding onto it there. Tazo's still trying to keep Wasserschwein behind. And this is the battle for P5. And Tazo is going to come out on top here. Now look at Graxit. Graxit diving around the inside there. Graxit's thinking about a move around Wasserschwein as well. Is Wasserschwein going to lose another place as we go through? And you can see here they're looking at it side by side through. Graxit just close enough. You can see the rear light on Wasserschwein blinking there. And now diving up the inside goes Graxit. Inside turns to the outside. He's going to hold on to it here, and Wasserschwein backs out of it very wisely. Wasserschwein's down to P7. Tazo and Graxit moving up places. And the front three have broken off from this pack by a considerable amount of time. And now Wasserschwein's under pressure from the Alpine of Extrac. And who is going to be able to come out on top here? Extrac has a run through. I'm not convinced that Wasserschwein doesn't have some damage that he's having to deal with here as we go through. And late on the brakes is Wasserschwein. Switch back a little bit from Extrac. Is he going to be able to take advantage here of Wasserschwein outbraking himself? He's not. And as we go into the interchange section, it is still going to be Wasserschwein in P7 here. 5 laps to go, Syntax. Anything can happen as we're going through, though. Leaders are taking off. Roloski, half a second gap currently on John Meister, trying to defend as hard as he can here. And this battle up front, I think, is far from over as we come into the dying stages of this race. John Meister is going to be pushing as hard as he can to try to chase down Roloski, and it's going to be anyone's guess as to who comes out on top with these two.
Yeah, even though Tazo is getting closer to the Puchacz, right now on the main straight will be Tazo diving on the T1. Yes, he's diving, but it's not enough to overtake Puchacz. Storek just overtake, but not. Is fighting with the Wasserschwein for the P7, but situation on the track gets more intense, even though Graxen is getting closer to the Tazo to say, oh, and big snap, and Graxen will lose a lot right now. Graxen fell down to the P11 from P6, so that must be heartbreaking. Right now, Bucek also is trying to attack Storek. We know that Bucek is extremely fast on the main straight, on the straight. So yeah, just look at it, how fast he is overtaking Storek, losing a lot of that. And even Wasserschwein, so Bucek again pushed the rocket ship engine once again, and he is currently on the P6. Wasserschwein is not letting down that, and he's covering the inside. So yeah, this might be a little bit difficult, but Wasser just went too wide. But there's also Storek, so they are fighting so badly and so hardly for the P6 right now.
You would think this is the battle for the lead on the final lap, and it's P6 with 5 to go here as we go through. And now you've got Debe in the mix as well, coming in P10 going through. Bucek getting past his teammate there, Matoush. And now the dive from Extrac up the inside. Who's going to come out advantage there? And that is Matoush that is spun around. And there goes Extrac as well. Debe says, thank you very much. I will take a P7. And now Extrac dropping way back, and so is Matoush. They're all the way back out of the points now. Now it's Bucek here chasing down Puchacz. Puchacz with a bit to go there. 4 seconds to gap there between Puchacz and Bucek. Debe 1.7 back on that battle. Graxen 3 seconds back now, and everything just opened up in the middle of the field out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That was half a lap of very, very close racing. I was just biting my... That made me nervous. That was very, very competitive. But Syntex, the race isn't over yet. Oh, no!
DNF'd. He crashed himself. He spun on the exit on the curb and he finished on the wall. And we have second safety car? Or third one?
I'm not sure.
Me either.
I know that John Meister was a tenth of a second away from Rolowski, and I was getting ready to see if that was going to happen because they were in a prime part of the track for a pass. But okay, safety car. Oh, this should be a very short safety car syntax, but you know what this means? No DRS for the rest of the race. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Oh my goodness.
But look on the situation on the track. Even though we have a safety car and probably it will finish 28 on the 29th laps, I will say. So probably we'll have only one lap of racing, like we have in real life Formula One in Abu Dhabi. But what I wanted to mention is that now every single driver, or maybe just let's focus on the top 6, have a huge chance to stand on the podium right now. Because Bucic with his rocket ship, fuel, engine, I don't know whatever else he have with that rocket ship part, I don't know what Haas take a partnership from, but Bucic, I believe he is very happy about that new parts that came to the Haas team. Puhac that is struggling a little bit, but we believe that he have the pace. Tazo that he recovered from the almost P16 when he fell to P4 once again, so this is a very good position right now for him. And we have both Alfa Romeos that they want to also win, and both of them also want to hold the podium. Rolowski with another maybe another possible to win another race. Yeah, so anything could change under over when the safety car will be over, and he went of course to the pit lane, but I'm not sure, but I have a feeling that it's going right now. Okay, so never mind. I have a feeling that some things bad can change, because you know how it is in FRL.
This is about to be 2 laps of absolute chaos and very competitive racing. I hope everyone stays strapped into your seat. If you've stuck with us this long, you're coming in for the best of the best. And this is going to be 2 laps of absolute chaos here. Rolowski is going to take us underway on 8-lap-old soft tires. John Meister is on 8-lap-old medium tires. Everyone else on the field is on medium tires, except for Gamer and Maku, who went into the pits. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be where the money is made. We've 2 laps to go here. Lap 28 of 29 is now beginning, and here we go. John Meister's going through, trying to chase down Rolowski. The gap staying pretty consistent. Tazo's trying to chase down a podium finish here against John Meister and Ignis. Puhac is a 10.5 back on Tazo, trying to get that silver arrow up on the podium as well. And now you've got a lot of chaos all the way through. No telling where this is going to finish. Gamer and Bimolino swapping places back in the back of the field. But right now, the big key is, can John Meister chase down Rolowski? The last 2 laps, there will be no DRS. This is all about pace and skill. The sun's coming out. The track's heating up. And the battle on track is heating up as well as we go. Rolowski trying to just stretch those legs, get a little bit of pace out. You can see John Meister with slipstream gaining just a little bit as we run into this first inner pass section here, as we are for the final time, or penultimate time, as we go through. Ignis 0.8 of a second back on his teammate there of John Meister, who is 0.4 back, gaining pretty considerably there going through this section. Now we're down the long backstretch, and that was Puhac, who just spun coming out of turn 16 there. Pujols is into the wall, and that is going to be any chance that Pujols had of a top 10 finish gone, because Pujols is definitely going to have some serious damage. Drop all the way back. John Meister's looking around. Roloski going pretty defensive there, but keeping things clean as they come around. John Meister's going to swap it a little bit. Try to peek on the inside, not able to get the pass done. Tazo and Ignis are now battling side by side as they go through. Ignis is just far enough ahead to hold on to it here. Tazo's going to have one more lap of action to try to land it on the podium. John Meister's got one more lap to try to get the win here. Everybody, hold on to your seat here, because Buchik is now in the mix as well, trying to go for that P4, 0.3 of a second back here. This is the big battle. Debe up at P7. Can Debe maybe find P6? Half a second there. And we'll be waiting to see 0.2 of a second between Roloski and John Meister. This is for all the marbles. This is for all the chips. This is what we've waited 29 laps to see as we go through here, coming down the backstretch. Or the second backstretch. Really, of course, this track has two backstretches. But John Meister, 0.2 of a second. Is he going to be close enough for a lunge on Roloski? How is Roloski going to defend this? Roloski's holding the inside here. John Meister's going to peek the outside. Roloski moves a little late to defend, but just enough time to hold on to it there. Roloski needs a clean half a lap, but look at John Meister right on the rear end here of Roloski as they go into this chicane section underneath the underpass. He is as close as you could put a Formula One car to the car behind. Now they're going to come around the left-hander here, turn 16. There's the exit. Is he going to be able to keep it clean and get a run down and try to dive bomb out of the final corner? Look at the gap there, 0.2 of a second. You're seeing the gap continue to come down. Does he have enough battery? You can see on the steering wheel, the battery's gone. So this is all about pace. Is he going to dive it? There it is, the late lunge around the outside. Is he going to be close enough to make the move here? Can he make it stick? He tries, little bit of wheel slip, and as we come around the final corner, it is going to be an Alfa Romeo double podium. But it's Roloski P1, John Meister and Ignis P2, P3 on track. There's a big wreck in the back. That was a Ferrari in the back, completely losing it. Tazo's able to bring it through, though, because penalties aplenty to be applied. Tazo P2, Buchik P3, John Meister, Debe with a top 5 finish, redeeming himself after split 2. Ignis P6, Maku P7. And that was a 2-lap shootout.
What a race. This is all about. So possibly we could make a 5 laps as we always making, and it will be exact same thing as we have on the end, because it was a pure chaotic situation. But even though it was a pretty fun and nice race, I would say, and it was a pleasure to commentate with such a beautiful person, a beautiful voice of FRL, and an amazing driver that we have yesterday. I would say I'm orchestra man, Bradley.
Syntax, you're entirely too kind, but I do appreciate the compliments. Of course, it's just my goal every Sunday to bring the action on the track to everyone's screens that takes the time to sit down and watch this. I do genuinely appreciate it, though. We're watching the podium celebrations now, and then we'll recap the winners here. So, penalties aplenty were applied. Roloski brings it home in P1 again, the dominating force that is Roloski. Tazo was able to stick around for P2, Buchik P3, John Meister P4, Debe P5, Ignis, Maku, Gamer, Barthez, Bimolino, Gaucho rounding out our top 10. Wasserschwein, Matouche, Extrek, Pujols, Baran, Graxent, Maddie, Kashti, and Maverick are our drivers. Of course, 4 DNFs here in this session. And looking through, lots of crazy action happening there, going from intermediate conditions, drying out at the end. That was an exciting race. Syntax, that's another weekend here of FRL. Next week, it's Jeddah.
Yeah, and I hope it will be much better than this week.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Syntax, my name is Brad. Syntax, any closing remarks here before we round out this weekend and get ready for next weekend?
I will try to summarize today's race, and it was pure chaotic, but pretty much fun. And I hope it will be again much cleaner racing next week, and I hope every single driver will take that to the heart. Because we are always saying that we don't want to take a risk that is not necessary, and just take care and have fun of racing.
Absolutely. Everyone, that's Syntax. I'm Bradley. We'll see you next week. and it looks like Noda is going to be your winner of this Portuguese Grand Prix. Is your champion. JJ splits the middle, gets past both drivers.